There is no shortcut. I tried to take every shortcut there possibly is to literally starting something like Tavern, and it just doesn't happen. I've done it at every age, from 22 to 35. I've tried to take every fucking shortcut.
A lot of this, I'm obviously on a lot of social media and stuff, so I see a lot of other really cool designers doing some really cool stuff, and it's super awesome to be a part of that industry and everything. But then I saw your post on that guy saying, well, your portfolio's dead. And I've seen some other things like that around the internet. And I have a contradicting view about that, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can be super personable with a lot of people, but, if they don't know my work, then, everybody else also really knows their plumber. So who's to say that he can't make a logo for you too, right? So it's like you kind of have to back it up.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna steal that one. That one's great. Everyone knows your plumber too, but he can't make a logo for you. I like that a lot.
Go ahead, dude.
I'm all over LinkedIn, obviously, too. And like, I think you kind of have to be, but I'm so sick of everyone literally just prompting ChatGPT and copy and pasting it and being like, this is provocative. It's like, go fuck yourself. You're misleading. You're misleading like young designers is all that comes down to. Like, it's bullshit. I'm not hiring you if your portfolio looks like shit. So you can come work for me and make shitty work daily. So I could teach you how to not make shitty work. It makes no sense. The polish, and I'm just going to give my 2 cents on this so that it's memorialized somewhere. But like, if you can't make a highly polished portfolio for yourself, what do you think goes to my clients once a week in a presentation? It's a lot. It's equally as polished as everything you see on our site that goes to the client, times 3 routes. So like, that sucks, dude, that like that's what you have to do nowadays as a young designer. But like, we had to do that too. We didn't have Figma or AI or any of these Blender or an understanding of Premiere or After Effects. We had to teach ourselves that, like, which like everyone still has to do, but like there are more tools, which sucks because you need to be better at a lot more things. But it also makes it easier to make a really beautiful, polished portfolio when you're 2 to 4 years out of school. So I just think it's laziness if you don't want to do it. You're not gonna get a job. Like, also, I feel very comfortable talking to you because I have yours scrolling on mine, and there's like a million pieces that looks like an agency's portfolio. So like, you're doing it.
It's frustrating too, because like, I went to school for design, so like, I had the basic understandings of like, the things that everybody learns, like the rule of thirds or like, color theory and stuff like that. And I think it's very appropriate still, but it to me feels like a lot of things that, I learned in my art basic classes instead of like learning in my design classes. Like, I would have preferred to focus there. Whereas like, I had to kind of teach myself motion. I've taught myself web design. Like, I've taught myself like all of these things. And it's like, all of these people, I even saw a post the other day where it was like, oh yeah, well, Illustrator's dead because now we have Figma. And it's like, okay, these are just tools. And I don't know if I'm just the one over here being crazy, but it's like, these are just tools that I can learn and use. Not everything has to die because a new thing comes out, right? Yeah. Okay, well, yeah.
Illustrator is not dead.
and I get that there's other sites, like obviously Figma is coming and it's a really good tool. Similar, it's just a browser version of Illustrator, and it's like good. I've used all of them, but
look, we use Figma daily. That is part of our workflow. Everything gets designed in Illustrator still. I use Figma slides a lot. I actually think that's like, we used to use Keynote. We used to use Google Slides, but now Figma Slides is like, I love Figma. I'm the biggest fanboy you'll ever meet. Aside from like maybe Mike Smith. Have you, Smith and Diction? I feel like he's obsessed with Figma.
Yes.
You should look at his, he does like his 2 decks specifically, and I can send them to you if you've never seen them. One about his process, and one where it's just a live working file of them redoing I think it was like a hotel or something, and you see the entire process. So, and it's just like, you can go through his Figma live and just like see, and you see him moving stuff around every now and then. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's good to like peek behind the curtain. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm the biggest Figma fan. That doesn't mean you should be designing in there all of the time. Here's the thing. Illustrator is not dead because no one is designing mechanical files for print in Figma. It's just not happening. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll happen one day, but like also why would you? Like it probably will because like Quark used to be a thing, which you probably never heard of. I didn't even experience that. That was like what the old heads told me.
Yeah.
Canva's like a thing now, but like there are other programs. It's all bullshit. First of all, you should be working in the program that all of your peers in the rest of the industry are working on. Saying Illustrator is the most nonsensical bullshit I've ever heard. You need everything. You need to learn everything, and I think what you're doing is correct. So just to put a stake in that, like Illustrator won't be dead for a long time. It's nothing but clickbait saying that Illustrator's dead. Also, Adobe
Yeah.
would not let that happen. Back to it. What do you got going on?
So, like I said in kind of our conversations before this, like I'd love to know like your insights on like presenting work. So, when I present work, I feel like, and maybe this is just my own hurdle that I need to get over, but I want to find a way to really be confident in the stuff that I've done because I'm really proud of the things that I've done.
Sure.
But I don't want it to come off as arrogance or like I'm better than anybody else. I feel like there's like a fine line there because like I do feel like I need to prove that like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't want it to be like, hey, client guy, like you don't know anything, like you need to trust me 100%. You need to, just hand me the
I see
reins
what
and
you're
I'll
saying.
give you what you need. You know what I mean?
Yes, I see what you're saying. First of all, you seem very polite and lovely, so I don't know if that's really
Thank you.
gonna happen anyway. I mean that. There's like, I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't believe that. So I think going into a room, I'd be confident to send you in a room on Tavern's behalf and not be an asshole or an arrogant or whatever
Yeah,
you
thank
said.
you.
I think that that's fine. I was not like that at your level of things, and I was going into for my freelance projects and stuff thinking I'm hot shot. I worked at an agency, so like when I do freelance, like I'm a hot shot and I know what I'm talking about. And like it's a very much a learned skill of like convincing. I think that's the ultimate skill, right? This business is only relationships. Yes, the work is the tangible output because of those relationships. Yes, they came to you because they like you, but they came to you because they like what you're doing, but also who you are as a person. So it boils down to a relationship. So you now need to just maintain that relationship like you would in any other way. So yes, do you want them to pick the best option that you have? And you should be driving the creative because that's what really drives you and matters the most and what you think is solving their problem, their business challenge, which is, your best route and what you think. Absolutely. But you need to do that in a way that's just polite and you can have confidence. They came to you. You're the expert.
Yeah.
If they didn't give a shit, they'd go to your plumber and ask them to make a logo. Like
Yeah.
you already have a leg up in terms of like knowledge on that. So I think it's just delivery. I didn't do that. I was like, this is the fucking right answer. You can fucking take it or leave it, which was very much a like thing of the past.
Sure.
Places got away with that. But you can't get away with that anymore. And I don't think that was the right approach. I truly believe in like working with, you want to be a partner with your client, whether you're doing most of the work and you're guiding them, you still want them to have feedback and you want them to be a partner. So I think if you approach these meetings, you walk into a meeting and you're presenting stuff, you can be very forward, very confident, however you need to do it politely. Caveat's always politeness.
Sure.
Right? It's just like being a good person. Really.
Yeah.
Like, but when they push back on something, that's when you drop the verboseness and the not confidence, but like the like pushiness or whatever, and that's when you start to work collaboratively. Why are you pushing? Why are you pushing back? Why do you think this isn't the right answer? And really like keep asking them questions. This is one technique. There's a million techniques to do this.
Sure.
I think you learn over time, but like why don't you like that? Okay, why don't you like the color purple? Does purple, like, do you personally not like it? Or do you not think it makes sense for this category? Really like pointed strategic questions, I think can get there. And then when they say, I don't like purple. And you're like, well, in the, I'm making all this up, and Planet Fitness is purple. It's like, well, in the gym category, purple actually does mean strength and da 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 da. And you take them down a semiotics route.
Yeah.
It's like, so if you don't like that, maybe we can find like a midnight blue or something, and literally just like workshop it with them, but get them to come to the answer with you versus like, I hear your feedback, you're wrong. I'm going to take this back and figure out how to convince you that you're wrong. That's not the way to go, obviously. And so I think like you could be that way, but then be very collaborative in approach. And I think it'd be collaborative from the jump. I don't know what your process is like. I don't know if you have budget and time to be doing that, but like, onboarding and getting them in the right place could be a tactic too, of like, we're already on the same page. So then you're coming at, so you've convinced them because you kind of workshopped it in the beginning, like, hey, we're going to go down this route. But also at the same time, then, you can be a bit stronger in what and what you think is right, because you kind of got buy-in early. So there's a lot of different ways, and every client's going to be different, and every project's going to be different, and every step of your career is going to be different because you're going to have different roles and different seniority and whatever. And then different clients, one could be Budweiser, and then one could be the plumber down the street. And so you have to talk to them all different. You have to educate the plumber down the street on how to buy design. And then you need to really sell your creative vision to Budweiser because they already know how to buy design. They already done this before. So everyone's, and then everything in between. So there's a lot. The other thing is everyone in an agency will hate this and still do, even at mine. If they start saying something where they're like, well, I really think that spirits bottle should be purple. And you're like, no fucking way. And that it's like, that's not going to work. I'll literally open up the file. I'll take a screen grab, chuck it into Photoshop, and just like, overlay a purple on it. And be like, I don't think that this is right. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So like, show not the tactic is show not tell. Right. I can tell you 100 times that this spirits bottle should not be purple because fucking duh. That sounds like Crown Royal. Right off the bat, that's Crown Royal. Duh. You shouldn't fucking make another purple whiskey. You're going to lose in the marketplace. That might be enough. Probably won't. Or all I need to do is go, sure. Let me just, it's not, I don't think that that's right. Let me just show you. Screen grab. Overlay purple in Photoshop real quickly so they could see it. And they're like, yeah, I guess not. And then go to fucking Google, take a picture of Crown Royal and put it next to it. And it's like, and that probably doesn't make sense to have another whiskey that's purple too. So now they see that it's purple and they see it against the competition and they know, yeah, of course that's not right. And I just saved you one entire round of you going back 2 weeks, changing all the shit, trying to figure out and make it work somehow, picking the right shade of purple. Sure. Doing 4 options of purple when it's wrong, just to show them to be like, yeah, you're right, revert it back to the first round. So and agency people hate that because you're cutting billable hours, you're cutting time. We didn't test this. What they think they're paying for this, but they need to pay for our time and our thought into this. And it's like, no, you need to, the relationship's number one, right? So you need to focus on them. So I think, and that is confidence, right? Like, the confidence to open up and design in front of someone is like, the final boss level confidence, I think. And that's how you do it. And it's polite. Like it's, it's still polite and it's still like a nice way of doing it so that they feel like they're part of the process. Also, I'll tell you, that's the biggest hack. If you could get away with that, people think they're like watching like a TikTok, basically. They're obsessed with every client I've ever done this for is obsessed with it. They're like, this is so cool. We get to see you do it because we do it all day. They're obsessed. So like, it's the ultimate hack. Grow to that level if you want, if you don't feel so hot doing it right now. But like, again, I think there's ways of showing confidence that are polite and actually collaborative. It's not about being mic drop. This is the answer. Go fuck yourselves if you don't like it. Which I don't get that from you anyway. Just how we've been communicating and just like how you're talking to me now.
And I've had clients where it's like I'll be working with them, they're like, no, I hate that. It's like, okay, what are you even looking for? Because I had a client in particular where he's like, yeah, this is my brand, like it's just gonna be my name. and I like was pushing him just to get some kind of information on like, just who he is, who he's trying to be or whatever. And ended up doing a monogram for him. It's his name. And that was a lot of what I got out of him.
Mhm.
And then come to it and he's like, I just really hate monograms. I just really hate my initials. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm trying to pull something from you and you're giving me nothing. And it's like, I ended up having to like, I literally went through like the identity whole process of like, okay, like, what are some words that like represent you and your brand? Like, what if your brand was an animal? What is it? Like, just tell me something. And eventually we got somewhere, and I thought it ended up in a cool place. He told me he was less than impressed, but he didn't want to continue, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. But I think it was like, that was a tough experience for me, because I was like, I'm like pulling teeth here to get something out of you, and it's like I can't get anything. And I think it's growing, I guess, for me.
I think that was a great experience to have. Don't chalk it up to like you learned and move on. Some people don't know how to buy design, and when you are working with, and I don't know what this person was or what their company was, but if it's just their name, I know the size of that business. It's local, it's small, it's an individual. Mm-hmm. Those people don't know how to buy design. So just like you're in a different realm than even I'm in with Tavern, where you are like over explaining how to just buy design from the jump and then selling the design. That's really hard. And like near impossible sometimes, which
Sure.
You've encountered the near impossible.
Yeah.
I think you handled that as best you could. You over delivered from what I'm hearing, where you tried to figure it out, and then you did the workshop with him, where it's like, what do you want? What's right? And like you can't do much more. I've had that with clients, exactly that with clients before, major clients. And we went even further, where we did, 10 rounds, and we kept trying. And they just were like, no, it just isn't right. It doesn't make sense for us. And we got to move on. And it just never got made. Did you get paid?
I did. Yes. I mean, I
matters.
I have gotten shafted in the past where it's like, I'm like, yeah, dude, we're bros. We'll just have you pay at the end. And it's like, then that didn't work. And I'm like, okay, never doing that again. I'm going to need at least, depending on the project, I'll take 25 to 50% up front, because I'm not going to get ghosted halfway through the project anymore, because like I'm running out of time to do things sometimes in the day. And it's like, I can't afford to just, have fun on my computer, whatever, Yeah. But
no, I think that's very smart. I would definitely keep that practice up. And it's like 50% up front, I think, is like the AIGA's guidelines. I would have a look at them. It's standard practice. Okay. So definitely keep to that. So you don't get fucked, because that's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, it only took once for me to be like, that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah. That's cool. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a good learning experience. You're dealing with people who don't buy design, and you've gone through the motions. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen big and small, a bunch. Sure. That sucks. That's the reality. But I think, again, if you learn from it, which I think you did, you were like, all right, let's do the process. So like, how do you do that better? I don't know how to do that better, frankly. I want to give you advice on like how to make that one better. The only thing I would do is like maybe an additional workshop of like, how about, I don't know, assuming you have like a Pinterest board filled with like cool shit you like, how about we just get on a call, and I'm just going to show you some like inspiration. Don't you pull it. Don't waste your time making mood boards and all that stuff. Like this is like really cheating, but I would be like, cool, let's just like go through my Pinterest and some boards and be like, do you like any of this stuff? What's resonating? And anything that person might like, just chuck into a folder, and then make your own little mood board of it, and be like, all right, we're circling around this, because most likely someone who doesn't understand design, and I've done this before to failure, where it's like, all right, cool, like what brands do you like? And then they're like Nike, Viore, Apple, and I'm like, okay, on running,
You don't
and I'm
want to
like,
be those guys.
with that, none of those things mean anything to me in terms of like how we can make your name a monogram. So let's just like look at like aesthetic stuff, and I think that might be a hack, and try that, and then try a bunch of different things like that if it's really going in a bad direction. But they need to be like live, workshop live, 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour, so that it's not taking up much of your time, and less time than it would be you doing an entire round. That should be
Yeah.
the goal, right? So
Yeah.
30 minutes to an hour, any type of workshop live with someone, and I think you'll get to something at the end. You'll just naturally, and I can picture this person you're talking about in my mind. Naturally, they're gonna something will pop and be like, "That's tight," and you'll be like, "I know how to work with this. I can
Yeah.
like take it." You're not gonna rip it off. You're just gonna like, I can get something generally in this aesthetic area that like
As
we
long
would
as
have
I can
never.
see what they're thinking, like, because sometimes I feel like there is like they have like a safe in the back of their mind of the creative that they want, and they just will not let it go. But
Mhm.
they're like, no, you try and crack the code, try
Yeah,
and figure that one out. And I'm like,
I mean, that's the job to be done though. So you have to go crack the code. So do it
yeah,
any way possible, right? Like you don't have to do it by working. You have to figure it out. It's a challenge. That's the challenge to figure out.
yeah,
And how do you do that without doing the work? I think that's the fun. That should be the fun challenge of this.
yeah,
Different ways to basically break down people or crack their codes to get to where they want to be. And like, theoretically, over time, I'm sure people will just start coming to you because you have a pretty like straightforward aesthetic that is generally in one camp. So like someone coming to you should be like, oh, I'm getting the BK treatment, but like it's not always going to work that way. You're still going to have to, it's going to take some
yeah,
time for that. So I think now it's just like figuring out what they actually want. I even think even then, like we have people say we have a style, which I don't think we do, but we have a general way of doing things and a philosophy of doing things. And we still have to educate them on exactly what modern heritage is and why we need to pull from your heritage to make it contemporary and what that looks like and how there's kind of only one answer when you do something like that. Right.
yeah,
Like, and even after buy-in, they still need to be educated on that. So no matter what, majority of this job, even on your small scale of like making plumbers to Budweiser, like it's education, it's relationship, and then the output is design, is purchase design, and figuring out how to do that all politely, confidently, as you say, I think is the trick and like the hard part. You know how to design. You're good at design. I've seen all the work. It's great.
thanks.
You're hired, right? Like you're hired to make Mike Perry's plumbing company like tomorrow, but like
Yeah,
that's easy for a designer to see. It's not so much for, if my mom hired you tomorrow, you'd still have to do all of these things, right?
sure,
Like
sure.
treat it like that. I use the mom test on everything. Is like, does my mom understand this concept? Will she get it? Um, she's a very smart person, but
Yes,
she's
yeah,
not a graphic designer and she's not a marketing strategist. So we need to
yeah,
we need to make it for the masses who are going to be looking at it like this when they're in the supermarket
yeah.
or whatever, I don't know, law firm or plumbing company or whatever this guy was.
That's like the people that I work with because I'm so small right now and not a lot
Yeah.
of people know my name.
Yeah.
And like that's another thing too is like I'm trying to put my name out there. I'm trying to get my name and my work out there. And so I post a lot on socials or something because I don't know how else to get my name out there other than making connections and stuff. But it's like I can't tell if it's working. I really can't because I think I'm maintaining the consistent flow of like a couple of people every month will reach out to me, which is fine for the freelance that I'm working because I do other design for other, like an agency on the,
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. Do you have a full-time job?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, at Steel.
Uh-huh.
Is that what it is? Hold
Yes.
on. I'm like
Still
trying to pull
Design
it up.
Co. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And you're a graphic designer there. So tell me the breakdown of your team.
It's small. So there is just two of us in office. So it's owner, founder, creative officer, and then me. And then we have we have another designer who's based out of Texas because we're in Utah.
Yeah.
And then we have like a copy and positioning guy who's in California. And then we have a videographer, photographer that we hire out in the valley or in our area as well. So So like it's pretty small and there's not a lot of designers on the team. So I do get a lot of exposure for that, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think like I don't, in the long run, like you never know how design is going to go or how the industry is going to go or where this is going to lead me. And it's like, eventually I want to make sure that I have connections and I have contacts that, if I do end up needing to go out on my own, or I do need to do something, like I have that, or, I
Totally.
have the background, I have the skill, I have the connections. And it's like, I get that it's probably a long journey to get to that point, but it's like, how do I make those steps now? How do I, get my name out there? How do I make sure people, or like try to get people to see my stuff and be like, oh, if I need design, like actually Bryson, he doesn't suck. So that's cool.
Totally. No, I think it's good. What I was gonna say is I think it's really smart keeping, like, I know where you want, I can see where you want to go, and I think keep doing what you're doing. I think what you're doing is absolutely perfect. It's working full time where you're learning from, I mean, the founder is a designer. That's really
Mhm.
great and very beneficial. And like you're gonna learn a shit ton from that person and everyone, even the copy, and even if someone sits in Texas or whatever. So I think that's really smart to keep. You can go other places if you want, depending, you should hop around a little bit, whatever. But like, and I'm not saying right now. I just mean, should that
Sure.
happen in the
Yeah,
future, I
generally.
think is good. Is not a bad thing. But like learning from people is going to be the biggest thing because they're also need to learn how to talk to client. Like your founder knows how to talk to clients, obviously.
Mhm.
If they run a studio, like they're going to have skills that you can learn from just by watching, really, just by like client presentations of how they handle people who don't want to buy what they're selling. Like there's so much just like learning from seeing. My grandpa always used to be like you learn with your eyes, not with your mouth. And like there's some truth to that, like of just like watching how others do it, like in a presentation and stuff like that, I think could be very beneficial. So like I don't know how diligent you are, but like I would take note, like I would just do a notes app of like, oh, this is how the founder did this thing when someone wasn't buying this route or whatever, and you kind of like have
Mhm.
a cheat sheet for it, just like I'm saying, like the cheat sheet of like, all right, if this doesn't work, maybe we pull up Pinterest. And
Yeah.
all this stuff just comes from doing. It's not like you learn by just like time in the gym, basically, right?
Sure.
Like time on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I think that's a good takeaway. And then yeah, you'll get there with what you're trying to do. I think learning even on the small lawnmower company jobs is going to be beneficial in your long term. How old are you?
I am 25.
Okay, at your age, I was doing the same type of work, eating shit from people like this, not getting paid. Like it's the journey, the path is correct. To getting to like a studio, whether that's a single person studio, a big studio, whatever. Like I think it's right because again, all of these different types of experience, even just within the confines of like selling design or selling, branding, is very beneficial even for like I could pull from that even now when I'm talking to, Fortune 500 companies. Like it's still relevant. So everything is right. And I think like of course you're rejecting making a portfolio, like portfolios aren't dead because you're working a full-time job and then working a full-time freelance job too. Like you want to be doing this. And that's been my whole push to like everyone is like, you really have to want to do this job. Like if you're reading like, I don't need a portfolio anymore, like go do something else. Because like
Yeah.
if you don't want to make, I don't want to make a portfolio. Making portfolios is really, really difficult. And like a lot of self-consciousness goes into that too, even me now, like you're still like, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't exactly what I want. Like it sucks, it's a drag, but like part of it, you need to sell your work somehow. So like too bad, right? And I
Yeah.
just, all of this is like, and everyone is like, you gotta do a lot more than just the job itself if you want to create a studio or a practice or whatever. I think you're on a great path to do so though.
Yeah. Well, that definitely provides confidence because, I do have high aspirations for myself. Like I would love to, start my own thing one of these days and grow it to be as big as, as it can get. But, I get that that path is not it's not a fast path. There's no,
No
easy
shortcut.
solve, quick trick to anything, So I'm looking for the work is what I'm saying. Like I love the challenge and I want the challenge of getting there. So to me, it's all about like having these conversations, seeing what other creatives, especially successful creatives, think and would do, So I appreciate this.
Totally. Yeah, I appreciate there is no shortcut. I tried to take every shortcut there possibly is to literally starting something like Tavern, and it just doesn't happen. I've done it at every age from 22 to 35. I've tried to take every fucking shortcut. I've even tried to take shortcuts at Tavern. It doesn't work. You learn the hard way, right? Like it sucks. It's just the reality of it. So it's good.